What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. Again, 2 times in one day. Don't get used to that, but generally, I'm going to try to do it at least 3 times to 4 times when breaking this stuff down. Let me hear myself. Yep. All right. So it sounds good. Of course, when you're coming in, let me know. And if I need to adjust it, I definitely will. But while I'm waiting on people to get here, if anyone comes, because again, people aren't used to me actually live streaming, let me go ahead and tell you guys about a couple of things. Hey, you should check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded. One of the best places to talk to me, because generally I'll talk about anything you want to talk about when it comes to Twitter. Not so much on the channel, but everything from politics to Star Trek, Star Wars, anything you guys want to talk about, I'll definitely talk about there. Hey, if you like what you see today and today only, you can subscribe on YouTube for absolutely free. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there. You won't have to use any codes or anything. It is absolutely free, so you don't even have to worry about it at all. Of course, we got Dank User in the house. Scuba Fossil says, I sound fine. Good deal. This is actually a new microphone. So the further I get away, the worse it gets. So you're going to have to let me know if I get away from it. I'm not used to having to basically make love to it. What's going on? Orataka Tinga. He is back with me, of course. Night Snipe. I'm live streaming. I know I'm as surprised as you are, buddy. I am as surprised as you are. Alan Jolly up in the house. Jason, my channel loves you, buddy. My channel loves you. Darth Nicta or Nita, as they say in the Latin. The Sith are indeed superior. They are. They're supremely superior, if we will. So today's breakdown, today's conversation, the live stream, I figured we would talk about something that seems to be on a lot of people's minds, which is the new Star Trek Discovery, and specifically taking a look, as Redlettermedia says, its drastic shift from one thing to another. Tony Lafilara, what is going on? How you doing, Tony? How you doing? So, what's interesting, and what a lot of people don't realize, I think, because I do this for a living, and because I break all of this down, I notice a lot of things that people don't. And that is to say, the shift that we see from the original series into TNG, to DS9, to Voyager, to Enterprise, and even Discovery. And what... Now, don't get me wrong. Discovery takes us to a place that we absolutely have never seen, and they basically take what was like a 3 or 4 to an 11 when it comes to the way that they were going. But if you watch the original series had some dark elements to it, but more it was a fun jaunt. It was... purity. It was the writing, the way they did it back then, which was, everybody works out in the end. Ultimately, it's a utopia. Humans are great. Now, there were, again, dark aspects to it, but it really wasn't necessarily all that bad. TNG took it to, well, they stayed with the original series in the first couple of seasons. They specifically kind of went out of their way. What's going on, Jeremiah Clark? They tried to be the original series for the first or second season, which nobody was having that. So they took a little bit of a darker aspect, not too bad, but they did take a bit of a darker aspect, and they began challenging the Federation to a degree. And it was... You didn't notice it all that much. What's going on, Jeremiah Clark? Broken Eyes, what is going on with you? So DS9... the first couple of series, similar to TNG, it was a little bit, it was not your grandpa's Trek. They were trying to separate themselves, and they did that by breaking the Prime Directive and having a little bit morally gray. And then you hit the Dominion War, and it basically is as far away from Season 1 TNG as you can get, especially in the pale moonlight. DS9 is my favorite series. I love DS9. I think it is the best out of all of them. But it would be disingenuous to say that DS9 wasn't very dark in comparison to TNG and especially the original series. And I think you could make an argument that Deep Space Nine threw away Gene Roddenberry's vision for Star Trek. I sincerely think that you could say that. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is the debatable part to me. I think that DS9 was as realistic as a great. I think DS9 was the most realistic, best scenario that we could get, in my opinion. I think it's as close to Gene Roddenberry's ideals and us still being human. And as like Alan Jolly saying, it felt more realistic, and I would agree with that. I think that it's very realistic. As close, I mean, realistic in this is the best that we're going to get to. However, again, Deep Space Nine went incredibly dark compared to TNG and the original series. So we move into Voyager. Voyager, for all intents and purposes, was all over the place. But when they went dark, they went really dark. Exceptionally. And Voyager is the one. I think they're the only example, and I forget the name of the writer or the producer or the guy that did it, but they're the only example where someone who was in charge of writing for it, the lore of it, said, we don't care about continuity. Now, for all of the hell we give Discovery, it is important to remember that it started with Voyager and someone saying, as long as I'm writing a good story, I don't care about continuity. Also, when you look at Deep Space Nine into Voyager, we see a ton of more battle, a lot more action, a lot more morally gray too, right? And as Darth Nictus says, it could go effing scary dark. It could. It definitely could, for all intents and purposes. Enterprise was kind of Enterprise had some morally gray, but they didn't really do a lot with it. And then we go to Discovery, which basically, again, goes balls to the walls on the other side of the fence, right? I mean, just to give an example, if you have a car and someone's going 10 miles, and let's say TOS is going 10 miles, TNG would go 15, DS9 would go 30, Voyager would probably go 35 or 40, and then Discovery goes 100 miles an hour. It is completely different from what we see. But it is still consistent with the trend that they were going. We were moving from Star Trek ever since, arguably TNG, DS9 for sure. I think we were going from Star Trek to Star Wars or Trek Wars into DS9 and past it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Discovery. Someone on my Twitter actually stated that I'm just resigned to it. And to a degree, I'm still going to hold it accountable, hold it to continuity. But the more I look into the way that Star Trek was going, this was inevitable that we would get what this is. Because every series was a step closer to Discovery than it was to the original series. So I think that we did go from Star Trek to Trek Wars. Because Discovery, all Discovery is, as Redlettermedia said, it went from, utopia, from upbeat message to brooding, to drama, to, action-packed. So my question is, what's going on, Emperor 15? Haven't seen you forever. And I do agree we need more mirror episodes. Those were done fairly well. I don't like what they did with Lorca, but fairly well. But the question is, we were moving towards Trek Wars. We had already been all that way. Why are we surprised that we got Discovery? And if this is the way it was moving, how do we make it better? Or, as I've stated before, not that I like the idea, but everything has a natural ending to it. That is just the way our world works. Welcome to reality. So, is it enough? Is what the Star Trek we had enough? Because I don't know that we could ever go back to the original series or even the Next Generation. I don't think anybody would watch that. I think that Deep Space Nine fundamentally changed so many. By the way, says Bulk Bala is becoming a lore master. What's going on? I don't know. I wonder if Star Trek has had its run. How would Picard have done it if he had been a captain in Kirk's time without the crew from TNG? I don't know. I don't know that Picard would have done well in Kirk's era. When the Orville does better than Discovery to make it feel like Star Trek. So here's my thing with that. I actually haven't seen the new season because I'm an infidel. But here's my question to you guys. Do we really want Trek that goes back to Orville? Orville's good. I like Orville. Don't get me wrong. But Orville is a rehash, literally a rehash of Star Trek TNG. They're using their plot lines. Let's see. Marvin Woodley, is this live? This isn't live at all. I've pre-recorded all of it. I have the ability to see into the future, so I know exactly what you're going to say, and so I'm just responding. It's like the Doctor Who, the Doctor Who. Oh, what was the name? Don't Blink. It's exactly like that. I've wanted to watch Orville, but really want to. You should watch Orville, I would suggest. Oratakatinga, we should let Trek die with honor. I wonder about that. I wonder if Trek shouldn't die. And again, I'm not somebody that wants it to die. This is just us. This is just me being honest about it. Rent Redwood becoming a lore master. What is going on? Yeah. So, but that is, I think, a good question. Does it deserve to die? Does it deserve to die? And if we were to rewrite it, we would have to rewrite it with the action. A post-Dominion War series would be interesting. I would like to see that, but there's no way you can see that and again make it TNG. There would have to be drama. There would have to be action. There would have to be intrigue for multiple reasons. First off, I think that the audiences today now want more Early Grey. I think that's just what a lot of people want. Now there are some instances where they don't necessarily have that, though I would argue that there's still morally gray in them, like the Avengers and things. But I still just the way the plot runs after the Dominion War. The Federation is the top dog in the Alpha Quadrant. They really don't have anyone to challenge them at this point. And they're in a war economy. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have died. And a lot of people are going to want to go back to being explorers. So they have to do some drama with that, in my opinion. Anakin64, first time catching live stream. Love the individual episodes. Well, I'm glad you like them. Yeah, most people know me for the uploads. The live streams, I'm trying to do a little bit more, just because I like interacting with you guys. Yeah, I try. New Patrick Stewart series coming through. Can't wait. I got to be honest, I am not as excited about the new Picard series as a lot of people are, because I don't know how well it's going to do, if I'm being honest with you guys. It's being written by the same people who write Discovery, so I'm not completely sure why I should be all that excited about it, if I'm being honest. I hope it's good. Don't get me wrong. I really do want it to be good, but I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to see. Is what we're going to have to do. If Trek was to continue, I'd want it to follow up DS9. It was by far my favorite, and I think it managed to strike a balance with reality, war, action, and consequences while retaining some Trek hybrid access. I would agree. I think DS9 was the most realistic, as we've kind of talked about. Wish they'd do more Expanse. Expanse would be nice. Isn't season 4 of Expanse coming out? Or am I crazy? Literally, my only problem with Discovery is when it's set. If it was another time, post TOS or TNG, I'd be fine. I think if it was post DS9, it would be okay. Especially if this was a different alien species. It's just the spore drive and everything breaks so much. There's too many things that don't make sense. but and who said it? Maybe it was Redlettermedia, but someone said now that nostalgia is basically a commodity, that's all we're going to see. That's why we see all of these things happening in the past. And I've said this before, a lot of the original series generation, people who grew up with it, aren't really long for this world. And so they're trying to cash in on that before that generation's gone. They'll probably do that with TNG and Deep Space Nine, just because that's just how nostalgia works, and because you can now sell nostalgia. Discovery has the feel of a JJ movie because that is the Star Trek we have, quote unquote, today. And it's worth noting that the JJ films brought in fan numbers not seen since the height of Star Trek in the 90s. Sure. Discovery has the feel of a JJ movie because that is the Star Trek we have today. Yeah, I mean, again, I would be interested. I wish they'd give us numbers. I wish that we'd have some definitives, but for some reason, CBS likes to hide all of its stuff. Have you done any Expanse ship vids? I have. I'm not the proudest of it, but I have done some Expanse. But do the creators of Discovery know how nostalgia works? Yeah. I guess it's interesting. Again, I'm not a fan of Discovery. I think they went completely in the wrong way. But interestingly enough, I wish that I had some way of knowing. I wish there was some way to see how I would have reacted to Discovery if I had never seen the original series. Because if you give an example of Battlestar Galactica, I never really watched the original Battlestar Galactica, but I did watch the reimagined, and the reimagined is my favorite. I like the reimagined Battlestar Galactica far more than the original ever could do. And I wonder if some people are having that same kind of issue. What's going on, Iron Bassist? Alan Jolly, I will never forgive Star Wars for not having the original three together. Okay, don't know what that means. I always felt Enterprise should have ended with Scott Bakula leaping out of Archer's body and ending the credits. It would be a lot better than the way Enterprise ended anyway. A ton better. I have a solution, but it's unlikely to happen. Have CBS hire writers that are dedicated to Trek fans who knew the series in and out, like the folks behind Axanar. I wish they'd have people who knew more about Trek there. I mean, they claim to, but then they have to have these canon camps, and they have to sit here and rewrite season 2 to make season 1 make sense. They say that all these people love Trek and they love canon and they want to do the continuity and they fight over it, but they simply don't. They simply just don't. There's no one who would write the way they did and be as big on continuity as they say they are. Would we accept Star Trek set 300 years in the future, put enough time and distance, have their own thing, but still live in the universe? I mean, you're talking about Andromeda for all intents and purposes there. Again, that's the problem with nostalgia. You can't ever really have that back, you know? TNG was good for the time that it was good, but is it gone at this point? Is it something that no longer exists? That we can have again. A lot of people are putting their hopes on the Picard series. I think that's being built up far too much. I don't think it's going to be what people think it is, especially since it's the exact same writers. And I like Sir Patrick Stewart, don't get me wrong, but I do not think that Sir Patrick Stewart is going to require them to do anything. Especially given his proclivities for some things. I think he liked Discovery, and I don't think they're going to move away from that. By the way, guys, 72 people watching and only 18 thumbs up. What the hell's going on with that? What is going on with that? Disappoint. PC3, The Hunter, Trek. Hey, Trek Wars was my line. I'm pretty sure someone came up with it before you, but if not, you can say that I stole it. You should make a video on how I stole it from you and how I don't know what Trek is. That's apparently the popular thing to do these days. So just do that, PC3 Hunter. You're welcome. I just made you a channel. That'll be lucrative. Christian Blanchard says, read back up the comments. I would love to, but the comments are coming a little quickly. I can try to take a look, but I'm not sure what you want me to look for. Can you write it for me. BMCA BMAC E72V1, becoming a lore master. Man, you guys have some fun names. Let me tell you that. They should have the balls to do a series set after Deep Space Nine, not Discovery. Well, Augmented Pepe, then they cannot. They cannot at all bank in on that nostalgia, you know? So, I mean, why would they do that? Darth Nictus says Truck is dead. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be plastered all over somebody's video in the next couple of days. PC300, you got to be salty, though. That's how you make the big bucks. I'd like to see more of the Enterprise B as it had to recover from the reputation of the ship that got Kirk killed. I'd actually be interested in seeing Enterprise C. I'd be interested in seeing the backstory to what happened to the Enterprise C. Now, I'm a little iffy on that because when it comes to series, if I know what's going to happen in the end, it kind of hurts the series for me. But I would like a good movie about the Enterprise C might be interesting. Or at least something that shows us the battle, right? I think that'd be interesting. I don't think Picard can carry all of Star Trek. He's an amazing character and my favorite captain. I just don't think it'd be the same. I agree. It's not going to be the same. And I don't think that Sir Patrick Stewart disagrees enough with Discovery to make it worth anything. I think he's probably a big fan of it. I think you have to be careful how far ahead you set a Star Trek series. It's been stated that in 200 years after TNG, time travel becomes regular use like starships. The fans would probably expect a time travel-based Trek, which would be tricky, but it could be done. Yeah, see, here's the thing. Star Trek has written itself into such a corner, in my opinion. Every time we see Star Trek, it's always been about the Starfleet officers. It's been human-centric, and it's been generally a utopia. It's been generally, how awesome can Trek, how awesome can humans be, how awesome can we as a species advance? And as you stated, the writing in 200 years, everybody is a part of the Federation, everybody's Starfleet, and we now have time travel. Everything's been done. You've won it. Basically, the Federation is in God mode, right? And then but when you first start, Starfleet and humanity is nothing. They can't do anything. So you have from the beginning of the Federation, the coalition of planets, to about, like you said, 200 years after Deep Space Nine, or after whenever, right? You have a 200 years time frame then? Maybe? I don't know. You have this time frame that you can play in. Now, you can do it after DS9 before the Klingons join the Federation. But again, it's still, after DS9, the Federation would have to take some huge hits to be knocked down. Because the entirety of the Federation or Starfleet became a wartime economy. And so at that point, there's nothing that can really stop them. So, so you're talking about the temporal Cold War. Could we do a series on the temporal Cold War? But that's not Trek, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Do you think that we could do a temporal Cold War, a temporal Cold War series, a Star Trek series based around the temporal Cold War? I really don't think that that's Trek anymore. I just don't. I have a question. Do the phasers make sense? They look more like the turbo lasers from Star Wars and Discovery. I don't hate... Are you talking about the turrets? I don't hate the turrets, if that's what you're discussing. I think turrets make sense. So, here's the thing. Everybody hates Discovery. And if there's anything about Discovery you like, then obviously you're just horrible, right? The turrets to me, what's going on, Timmy the Squirrel? The turrets to me make sense. Even with the original series, it makes sense that the way they set up phasers, the way they set up torpedoes and such, they'd have turrets. And then with the invention of the array, the phaser array, turrets would go away. Phaser arrays can fire anywhere turrets can, and you don't have to worry about the mechanical issues you'd have with a turret. So I think that it is a natural progression. especially with what we see in Enterprise. Let's see a new series with a new engine, not a spore drive, that can take us to another galaxy. So tired of the Alpha Quadrant species. Yeah, but I mean, what are you going to do in a new galaxy? I honestly just don't think there's anything to be done. I think all the story, and I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong on this, just so we're all on the same page. I would absolutely love to be wrong, but I just don't see what this new story is going to be, you know? It is possible, but they kind of did the Temporal Cold War with Enterprise. When they rehashed it in Star Trek Online, it wasn't that fulfilling. Too many Deus Ex Machinas. Yeah, I think I've played that in Star Trek Online. I don't know. Luegos Jump likes Discovery a lot. Well, that's great. You know, the interesting thing here is that if you like Discovery, I'm happy for you. Everybody, all right, everybody relax. Star Brother's here. Star Brother is here. So, if you like Discovery, then that's great. I don't necessarily have any huge issues with someone who likes it. I just don't. I don't think it adds a lot. I think it hurts the overall franchise. But we can agree to disagree. You can give your reasons why you like it. I'll give my reasons why I don't like it. And I think both of us can be Trek fans. I hate this othering and this gatekeeping that both sides do. I really, honest to God, do. I was seeing how touchscreens are causing finger injuries from constant use. Do you think that is an issue in Star Trek Behind the Scenes? Do I think that's an issue in Star Trek Behind the Scenes? I don't think they do enough. I don't think they do enough of that, honestly, for it to be an issue. A new series of Starfleet going back to the Delta Quadrant and Gamma Quadrant. So what exactly are they going to do? Start a war with the Borg? What do we want to do in the Delta Quadrant? It's okay to say I'd like to see them go into the Delta or Gamma Quadrant, but what do we do with it? You know? The King of Scotland, I would agree with the King of Scotland when the King of Scotland says Trek has been hamstrung by the sheer weight of its own canon. That I would agree with, even though I didn't think Scotland had a king. Claudio Scheisel. The most interesting point in political matters about the Picard series is how will the events from Star Trek XI influence the plot, the destruction of Romulus? Yeah, I'll be curious to see if they go with that or not. That is canon. That did happen within canon. So I'd be curious to see how they worked it out. By the way, 41 people like this and 80 people watching? What's up with that? If you don't like it, then hit the down votes. But we should have at least as many views as people watching it. I'd like to see a 23-29 set show showing the loss of the Enterprise B and it ending up in a survival show with remains of the crew having to make it home in a beat-up old Connie refit they somehow find. That is oddly specific, Gareth. That would be curious, I agree. Star Trek doing the Mass Effect Andromeda thing. Well, they could. Yeah, PC3 The Hunter. What about the Enterprise C? We've talked about that. The Enterprise C, I would like to see that specific... I wouldn't like a series on it. I think a series would hurt it, but I would be very interested in seeing a movie. I think a movie would be. Hey, I don't care if you downvote it or not. Downvote the heck out of it. Yeah, I mean, no, hold on, take it. People who downvote it, it hurts my feelings so much, guys. Please, God, don't downvote it. Don't give me that interaction. Google definitely doesn't care if you upvote or downvote, just that you upvote and downvote. If you downvote, it actually is a bad thing and it doesn't help me. So definitely don't. Please, guys. Please, oh God, please don't. Scheisel is pronounced Schezel. It's German. Oh, well, I would have thought that it's Russian, given... my history. Scotland had a king 1,000 years ago. I thought Scotland had been... Wasn't Scotland... It's hard to look at Scotland's history when you consider you guys just basically do anything the British tell you to do. It's hard to see... It's hard to hear what you guys are saying with the British boot on your head that you welcome every day. So I'm sorry, I get it confused. Yes, it's specific lore because I'm just fiddling around with the concept and how it might work. Oh, okay, Gareth. Well, that's cool. I didn't know if there was more to it or if it was just fan fiction you were working on or what was going on. Imagine a series where you go into the mirror universe where Mirror Picard enslaves the Borg, and becomes a cybernetically enhanced killing machine that has conquered several universes already. You know, what an interesting thing. Oh, Scotland joined England willingly around 1700-ish. Oh, yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, no, I understand how that works. By the way, the British willingly left America in 1776. So, yeah, Scotland willingly joined the British, and the British willingly left America. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm right there with you, buddy. Yeah, I know how that works. Man. Sorry, I've taken too many shots at the Scottish, too. What was I talking about? I forget what I was talking about. How to have Star Trek Andromeda. Have the Federation set up a few colonies, but the main conflict, at least the first season, is about that conquering Andromeda species mentioned in the original series episode. Maybe. I don't know. That could be interesting. Maybe. I want a Star Trek that focuses on Romulans, Romulans and Klingons. The Federation stories are exhausted, but other races hardly have a season worth of seasons. Have a season worth of seasons? Well, here's my concern on that. Here's my problem with that. I don't think people would watch a series that doesn't have humans. I just don't. So, you know, I just don't see it. Make America Great Britain again. I love it. You were talking about the Mirrorverse Borg Picard Murder Man. Oh, okay, Gareth. Thank you, Gareth. I think it'd be interesting. I know they did a game on this, but I think it'd be interesting to have a crew get lost or get stuck in the mirror universe, like what we saw in Discovery, but an entire season or series based on that. How interesting would that be? And the morally gray of having to survive in the mirror universe. And then you could even show things, intriguingly, of what's happening in the Prime universe. James, I'm both English and devote-ish, something, so you can imagine my conflict. I don't know what the devote-ish is, unless you mean Scottish. And then I would imagine, yeah. Hey, technically Scotland did willingly join with England. I mean, they had been under a personal union for over half a century and needed England to bail out its economy. But, willingly. Yeah, I know. And again, the British willingly left the United States after we put a gun up against yo temples and forced you to leave, yo. American for life. The blood of Scottish kings still sits on the British throne. That's probably true. I just don't want any more was stories. I don't want any more was stories. So, Sophie X09 just became a lore master. God no, kill the Star Trek Online Enterprise F with fire. Why not make a Klingon series where we can see war against the Romulans and the Klingons with only human characters being a Federation soldier? It's not horrible. I just don't think people would want to watch it. I just don't think that, I just don't think people would be intrigued by it. People want to watch Star Trek, with humans. They want to watch it from Federation, from Starfleet. I don't think there would be an interesting, story there, if I'm being honest. Do a track post Fall of the Federation after one of the ancient relations like the Iconians came back. We could do that. That is a possibility. James had so much sugar today, my eyes are glossed as hell. Well, I mean, that's not a bad thing. Who doesn't like it? 1 second. Quit taking shots at the Scottish. One of them kept giving her all. He got to the Enterprise. I love the Scottish. They're awesome. So I just, I enjoy it. The Romulan War could be interesting. I think that could be very intriguing. I don't know that it would be something we would, I don't know. I think the Romulan War might work out, but there's just so much inconsistency too now with the Enterprise. When you with Enterprise, the Romulan War was supposed to be done without them seeing each other. It was supposed to be done with, You guys should be able to hear me. One second. You guys should be able to hear me. Yeah, you guys should be able to hear me. The Romulan War would happen with weapons that weren't phasers. They would be with nukes and things. So I don't know that would be a good idea. However, maybe I don't know if you guys know this. There's a fan fiction Romulan War coming out that I think is interesting. I think it's time they have a series that a crossover Star Trek and Star Wars, not necessarily a versus movie. That would never work, in my opinion. I just don't think that you could have a crossover in that way. Give me a second, quick, guys. Ah, why not have a fighter squadron then? What fighter squadrons make no sense to me, if I'm being honest with you. Fighter squadrons in Star Trek make very, very little sense, especially when you have pinpoint phasers as well as torpedoes. Lancer 737 assimilated the Yuuzhan Vong against Star Wars and Star Trek. Okay. How do you feel about Picard, his new Star Trek series? Any thoughts? Asked the Savage Historian. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm not as excited as everyone else is. I just don't think it's going to be... I don't think it's going to be that... It could be good, but it's being written by Discovery writers, and Sir Patrick Stewart is somewhat of a fan of Discovery. And given his political views and the way he looks at things, I just don't think it's going to be any different. I think they're just going to do... I think it's going to be so similar, you know? And I don't think it's going to be the savior everyone thinks it's going to be. Post-Federation Alpha Quadrant, where it's a post-Golden Age of technology. Things fall apart and no one knows how to repair it. So basically Andromeda. I would love to see Discovery attempt to jump to Andromeda Galaxy. Is that not the mantra of Star Trek, to boldly go and seek out new life and new civilization? But what new life are they going to make? You know, that's my thing. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? I'd love your guys' final thoughts. Just for those who are watching, I'm going to try to do this consistently 3 times a week, hopefully. A way of, you know, getting just a way for us to more interact, and just other ways for people to plug in. What do you think about the Orville as a possible way for the Picard series? I think I don't think the Orville plots would work in Star Trek, because because they're rehashing Star Trek episodes just from a different point of view. So I don't know. Maybe. I hope it works. Tech from Star Trek and Star Wars are like oil and water. They absolutely are. I'm British, and to be honest, I'm laughing my butt off, because that's what we would have said, being forced to leave somewhere because we lost. Yes, we left them willingly. Yeah. I mean, that was actually, that wasn't me just making that up. That was, that's a part of the way it's taught in our schools, and a lot of what British people say is that they willingly left. You know, we just didn't want to fight anymore. We just decided to let you guys win, because that's how wars work. I disagree with your assessment on the technology used in the Romulan War. Nuclear weapons would connect to modern audiences. Yes, I'm not saying that nuclear weapons wouldn't connect to modern audiences. What I'm saying is in the Romulan War, it is stated that they never had any contact, no face-to-face contact, and they use primitive weapons. They use nuclear weapons. They use things like bullets and things. But in Enterprise, they already have photonic devices and they have phasers. You're telling me it completely ruins it is a continuity issue with what we see in the original series. The Retreat of the Willing. Cisco did nothing wrong. I don't even know what that means, Joff. Nuke me, baby, one more time. Exactly. Do you not want a series on the Oberth ship with a smart science crew that are incapable of combat and put into dangerous situations? I'm telling you, this new Rick and Morty series is going to be on an Oberth. Watch. It'll be on an Oberth. Mark my words on that. It's supposed to be one of the most ignored and irrelevant ships in the fleet. It's going to be an Oberth. Mark my words. I think someone said that the only way Star Trek could go forward would be a total reboot. I somewhat agree with that. I do think that a reimagining would be required. Well, it's possible that the nukes, etc., were brought back because they were known and way cheaper to make. I guess you could make it work. I guess you could maybe say that the Romulans' first strike capabilities were so caught him by surprise that they had to go back in time and use it. I guess that feels like a stretch, but maybe. Yesterday's episode of The Orville was so TNG inspired that was thrilling on one side and exciting on the other. I haven't seen it, so I'll have to see it. Only if they turn the Oberth into a total... No, see, Al Weifu, you got it wrong. This is the thing, Al Weifu. This has been said by the directors, by the writers. It's not going to be a powerful ship. It's not going to be Banff. It's not going to be anything. It's going to be an irrelevant ship with irrelevant officers. That's what this Star Trek series is going to be. It's going to be a comedy about people who don't matter. It's going to be a comedy making fun of a ship that is irrelevant. That's their words, not mine. So, that is so far, that is not what Star Trek has been about. And that's why this is so totally new. It is not what Star Trek has been about. Lorca is the only good thing in Discovery. I don't know that I agree with that, but Lorca is one of the major good things. I'm really hyped on the upcoming Axanar series, though. I hope it'll be good. I hope Axanar will be good. Hey, it was a strategic withdrawal from... Hey, the British strategically withdrew from America because of our preposterous colonies at the time. Totally willingly. Now, we're taught to hate our own nation. Trust me, there's no way we would be taught we didn't lose. In the United States, it's taught that, or at least it was when I was in school, that the British stopped fighting. We had won some major battles, kicked the hell out of the British, but they had withdrawn because of other things that they chose to. What is Trekways? I don't know. I don't know what Trekways is at all. Then just use fighters and send them into battles against millions of battleships. You got your horrible ships. There you go. All right, guys, I think we're going to end it pretty quickly. Hope you guys like this. There's going to be more of this. Definitely, hit those thumbs up. Some couple of things to let you guys know. You guys probably saw it there. I need to adjust that. But if you like and support it, consider hover.com, especially that link that came up in the chat. More specifically, on the 27th, I'll be doing a podcast with Ket Walski and the Nerdrotics channel. It's called The Council. I am extremely excited about it. Basically, we're going to take topics that the three of us disagree on. We're going to debate them. You guys are going to get to come on and debate as well. There's going to be a place for you guys to vote. All three of us are going to have a vote, and those who show up are going to get to vote too. And we're going to vote on topics like, is Discovery good? Is Discovery worth it? Things of that nature. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be trying to do at least 3 live streams every week. I'd love to do it 5 times a week. Just don't know. There's no way that I can do these live streams and get you the videos every day. The one thing I'm hoping for, one of my goals for 2019 is to get my videos to where they make enough passive income that I don't have to do one Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which would open up times for me to do this. But I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the chat or in the comments below. Guys, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as always, ultimately, all of our lives are just a story. Make yours a good one.